Thank you so much for stopping in. This is the transmission I have for you today. As you walk along your newly tilled ground of knowledge, you know you have changed. You may automatically want to view your new consciousness from your old perspective, old narrative, and discover that what you relied on doesn't make any sense. Instead of forcing, you adapt, integrate, and thus your consciousness spectrum changes. Your simulation horizon extends. It has expanded. They're just giving us some advice. Those you have interacted with all the time see the difference in you now that you're changing. And most do not understand. You act differently, you talk differently, you want to explain, but to many, it isn't understood. Your reaction can be defensive, angry, irritation, and so is theirs. Those who you were closest to dismiss you, so you move on. This is what's going to be happening. Just be prepared. This is not the first time it's happened, though. It's happened to most of us. You don't get relief from explaining. You realize at some point they will catch up from living in the shadows to recognizing they have been reciting the narrative of the dominance era too. Their own soul-light consciousness spectrum will also transform. Every individual in the transition sees their light expand in their own right time. It is your code. It is necessary to have patience and understanding of others and of self. Stay in coherence of head and heart. This is not a competitive ladder that is constructed from the expired age of dominance, although many will try to view harmonic future from dominance structure. This is like oil and water. This phase is all cascading change, from the crumbling to you rebuilding through humanity's consciousness spectrum change on an individual level and as a collective. Some call it the hero's journey. You are entering this phase. It is an old concept. A hero's journey is an old concept, but understandable for the masses, the populations, when they hear or come across this messaging. Humanity is familiar with the hero's journey, therefore, it is appropriate to call it that. You can leave either physically, you can leave it, or intentionally, you can leave it. You know it. Either physically, you know it, or intentionally, you know it. Change your energetic signature and go back to the old ways of thinking you will still fit in. Okay, so this is just kind of a process of what is going to be going on. You know that you're changing. You know you know it physically. You know it internally. But you still want to go back to the old paradigm, to the old thinking that you'll fit in. Thinking you can teach others the new energy. However, you are met when you think that, when you try that kind of thing, you are met with both resistance and acceptance, and realize the old ways, the old beliefs disintegrate, fall apart, and you have no anchor to the old paradigm from your new spectrum, while also not firmly in your new consciousness. It's awkward, a little unstable, but you see your new light. You feel the warmth of understanding. Your soul is excited about the revelations you have gone through, and you begin to fill up your fresh new vessel with creativity that had been filled with shadow narratives and following expectations. That's what we were. That's what we're losing the shadow parts, the uncertain parts, and we are now filling our vessel that had been filled with shadow narratives and following expectations. It'll be filled with creativity. Your journey led you through testing your new beliefs and purging the dominance era, expectations, and narrative. And now you begin filling your soul through creativity, through innovation, thus changing your consciousness spectrum and extending your simulation horizon to much, much greater access to knowledge, vortex, doors, ladders, slides, portals. Another piece of your puzzle fills in. A most wondrous time you are having. So that's where it ends. That's where it ended. When they go in this message, they kind of go back into how you were feeling, And when I'm reading that I get lost in what are they saying, When I'm writing it, it's perfectly clear. When I'm trying to read it to you, it's not perfectly clear because now I've got a conscious thought because I'm reading and consciously aware of everything that's going on and not letting the whole message flow to its end. I did that in this one. I think that's a really good example of what we do. I just did it. I just did what they're asking us to try not to do. When I'm taking and when I'm channeling through automatic writing, everything's there. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just letting it happen. I'm letting them finish their lines. I'm not trying to put all this stuff into it. But when I'm in a conscious state and reading this, I get confused in all these words. So the end part of this is what we should really listen to. Your journey led you through testing. I just learned something. We do it. We try to make sense of something that's new by going back into the old paradigm, our old thinking. And purging the dominance era expectations and narrative. And I think thank you for letting me go through this, because this just transformed me. I have really learned something really spectacular right now. Anyway, this journey we're all on led us through testing our new beliefs and purging the dominance era expectations and narrative. And now you begin filling your soul through creativity, through innovation, through changing your consciousness spectrum and extending your simulation horizons, all of ours, our simulation horizon, to much, much greater access to knowledge. The vortexes to doors to understanding polyhedron. It's another piece of our puzzle. Another piece of your puzzle fills in a most wondrous time you are having. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So even though I had difficulty getting through this, listen to the words, try not to be frustrated with how I messed up. Listen to the words, because that's part of the transformation. That's part of the learning. That's part of what we're all doing right now, is we're trying to fit back into expectations, trying to fit back this information into old categories. I was doing it consciously. I wasn't trying to do it. I just was going back into that old, what I know doesn't matter anymore. What we know doesn't matter anymore. What we need to know is what's coming up. But we rely on what it keeps us tethered. It keeps us in both places so that we can have stability. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they just said. Okay. So anyway, please stay tuned because there's a lot more to come.